welcome back to the show. The Wendy Hilliard Gymnastics Foundation aims to empower the lives of young people from underserved communities, improving their physical and emotional health through the sport of gymnastics. The organization has organized free and low-cost gymnastics to underserved communities, serving nearly 25,000 urban youth to date, helping to improve their physical and mental health, and then also providing various programming focused on health and nutrition, sports safety, to career path internships, public speaking, and also New York City public school admittance. Joining me now to share a little bit about their organization, I am joined by the founder and CEO of the Wendy Hilliard Gymnastics Foundation, Miss Wendy Hilliard herself. And Wendy, glad to have you here with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So this comes at a good time. I mean, as we're talking about Tokyo, the Olympics, gymnastics will definitely be a point of focus. And for yourself, the opportunity to really give back and give back in such a way that we can see more in communities of color actually take advantage of the sport of gymnastics and then some.
Definitely. I mean, I think when you see the Olympics, of course, it's the highest level and it's exciting. I mean, there's no doubt that it's going to be incredible gymnastics and, you know, a lot of things going around the top in the world. So I think what it's going to do is inspire a lot of people because gymnastics is a great foundational sport. Whether you're going to take it all the way to the Olympics, it just teaches you such great things about controlling your body, flexibility, focus. It's just so good for girls and boys and something that most kids should take.
Yeah. And so for you, talk about yourself for a minute. You got involved at an early age.
You know, a relatively early age.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a swimmer before I started gymnastics. And I didn't really start gymnastics until I was 12, which is technically, you know, it's kind of funny it sounds late in gymnastics, but I stayed in gymnastics for a long time. And the key about gymnastics, people need to understand there's just a large array of different disciplines. There's the bars and beams, the artistic, which is the big focus in gymnastics, but I was rhythmic. So I started relatively young, but here's the thing is that I really loved what I wanted to do. And I knew right from when I started, I wanted to be a high-level gymnast.
Yeah. And you became a high-level gymnast. You went on and went to the World Championships, had great experience there, and you didn't stop there. I mean, you're giving back, and you're giving back to young people. And what do you feel as though young people will be able to take away from having a person like you in an organization such as yours?
I think what's really wonderful is that when they come to our organization, they see first a really staff that's diverse, like the community that we serve. And I think there's definitely a place for that. For one, it's affordable. And that's the key. I love gymnastics. I love my sport gymnastics, but it's kind of an expensive sport, no doubt. So we've partnered up with our partners so that we can provide the sport in the community. And I think when people come to us, it's one thing to see, which you don't often see in gymnastics, is a gym full of really highly qualified instructors that are from, you know, Black and brown. We're right on the edge of Washington Heights. So we got a big old mix going on in our gym, and the Bronx is right there. So it's nice. It makes it feel like community, but it's good gymnastics and everybody is there. I mean, I take it seriously. I really want to teach good gymnastics. It's not a playground. I love gymnastics. It's fun, but there's a way to do it that's right. And that's what you get in our foundation.
Yeah. And you've had some great success stories come through your program. And give us a little bit about the young people and what you found that just interacting with gymnastics has done for them, not just for in terms of sports, but really in terms of character development.
What I found out is that, and I learned this, that I can really trust my athletes, right? So the kids, it's really funny. We can't wait till we get everybody back in the gym, but we always do performances at the end of the session, right? And so it always surprises me that the kids always up their level. We just had one virtually, and the kids were so good. I mean, they just moved the couch to the side. They were in the kitchen on the yoga mat, but they were doing their stuff to the counts. And so it's always so wonderful that the kids always step up to what their challenge is. And that's what we do. It's our job as our gymnastics coaches is to challenge them and to make them do the best that they can. And what's also joyful is the kids always step up. I mean, we just came back 2 weeks ago or so from the national championships, and Zaquay Carter, who's been with us for a while, really talented kid, but he almost didn't go to nationals. And I was like, oh, please, Zaquay, you got to come. And then he went to nationals, which was the second time on a plane, and he won the whole thing. So it's
Wow.
like, it's from one day, not even going to national champions till 3 days later being the national champion is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge big deal. So what was it like for you during COVID-19? Obviously, all of us were behind closed doors. What was it like for you as an organization?
Very tough, of course. I will say this much is that, but everybody had a tough time. I give it to my staff, especially my head coaches, Alexis Fabu and Dennis. And then we had a lot of help from Deem and our assistant coaches. They turned around and went online and just really did amazing work, both with our team. It was really important. We have, 3 competitive teams, and I wanted to make sure those kids were able to keep their skills because we didn't have access to our spot. We were out of our gym for like a year. And so what we did is, thank goodness, we have partners at different places, gymnastic centers around the city. We just carpooled or took a subway or went to Central Park, and we were able to keep doing gymnastics. And so my staff was really good, both doing it virtually online. We did some really good gymnastics there. And then just being dedicated to the kids. And so it was a big lesson for us, but I think we came through stronger. I mean, obviously we came through. We got through a whole year and then had a national champion at the end from our competitive team and all of our kids that joined us online from not just New York, actually. They were able to join us from wherever. We're able to stay fit and healthy.
Yeah. You touched on something earlier I want to go back to for a second. When you talked about basically the sport of gymnastics, introducing young people to gymnastics, and you said it, kind of moving along, you said, gymnastics is not cheap, and it's not. But for the average viewer, they may not know exactly what that means. So share with us a little bit about what it means to say gymnastics isn't cheap.
Well, gymnastics isn't cheap mainly because some basic things. You have to do it in a facility that's usually very expensive. No high ceilings, a lot of space, 15,000 square feet. The gymnastics equipment is expensive. One of the balance beams costs about $5,000. A trampoline is $20,000. The equipment is expensive. And then you have to have professional trained coaches to teach gymnastics from a safety standpoint. You can't have like a parent volunteer, take some kids to the park. You have to have somebody who's done gymnastics for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, and then as a coach to teach it. So all of those are the expenses. And then, it's basically, it's something you have to invest in. And this is what I tell people and what I tell our sponsors and I tell parents, this kind of focus is kind of like music. Gymnastics is an individual sport, right? And so we take time, you can't have like a lot of kids do it. Our ratio is like 1-7, at most 1-10, to focus on the kids so they learn in a progressive way. All of that adds to the expense. And then when you start traveling, that's a whole nother thing, right? And so it's important that we know that though the investment is worth it. The type of focus that gymnasts have, you will see it. That's why everybody loves some gymnastics during Olympics, because what those kids, what they do out there is super amazing. And that kind of focus. I think when you watch a Simone Biles, for me as a gymnast, I just look at her eyes and I said, she's just like so relaxed and so zen. And then she runs and she does something that nobody else in the world can do. Totally impressive. So what we do in gymnastics is we give these kids the opportunity to be their best, right? To learn how to work hard, that you have to do it, repeat it over and over again, because it's not just doing it. It's got to look good. You got to point your toes. You got to stretch your legs. It's like so complicated, but we want them to understand the process of being good, and it takes work, and you need to appreciate it. And at the end, it'll serve you well.
Yeah, I think about golf, and I think about Tiger Woods. I think about how many people actually became impacted by seeing a Tiger Woods. Now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to golf, yours truly included, and we're out there and we're hacking, but we're doing it. We've decided to take on the sport, right? When you look at gymnastics, you look at a Simone Biles, you look at a Dominique Dawes, and you see somebody who's reflective of you. And when you see somebody that's reflective of you, it gives you a hope and an inspiration. Do you find that to be the case now that we see a Simone Biles doing what she's doing? That there are more and more people who have, this interest in gymnastics from communities of color.
Definitely. It's having a role model is key. Having seen someone do it, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I love gymnastics, but I didn't have any Black role models when I did it. They were Russian and they were this and that, but I loved it. But I would have to say, you have to realize, so Gabby Douglas won the gold medal in 2012. She had the most impact on our program because we were already underway. We were doing gymnastics and, we were doing our thing. Gabby Douglas won. We had a waiting list of like 150 people. Just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of impact. And then people have to realize Gabby Douglas won in 2012. It's almost 10 years that the best gymnast in the world since 2012 has been a Black woman. Just be clear. So every year, like she won in 2012 and Simone Biles has won since 2013 until now, every world championship and every meet she's been in. So I think the longevity of seeing someone at the top says, like you said, it gives you inspiration that you can also achieve as well if you can put in the work.
Yeah. So now the summer's upon us. Talk to us about what's going on in the organization.
Well, we're very excited. We're back in our gym, and so we have team training for our competitive kids in the morning, and then we have a mini camp for 2 hours every day for beginner campers. And it's really so much fun. It's actually quite good because these kids are now taking 2 hours of gymnastics a day, 5 days a week. And so everybody's getting better. And we're very excited to be back at the Harlem Armory, the Harlem Children's Zone. And so we're, it's just lovely to be able to see people, right? We're still wearing our mask because we're working with young kids, but that doesn't really matter. That doesn't affect our gymnastics. We're still able to do that. And so we do a little partners. We send our coaches out to do a little bit of gymnastics on site, but we're not full out yet, but that's okay. We're back in the gym. We're teaching gymnastics. The kids are getting better. So we're very happy.
Yeah. And what's it like for the kids? I mean, obviously, to have the opportunity to be out, to be doing it, and no longer in this virtual environment, I'm sure you're having to contain a lot of excitement.
It is, but we're in gymnastics. So thankfully, we got 2 trampolines and a couple other things so kids can bounce around as much as they like to. That's the benefit.
Yeah. And so as we go forward now, obviously, if there's a parent out there that's watching or maybe a young person that's out there, what do they do? How do they get connected?
The best thing is to follow us on social media. That's where we put all of our information, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, we're all over there. And then, but I think the easiest thing is to go on our website. That's where we put our sign up for gymnastics, or to call our office. We will get back to you. But we're all over there. And so when you want to find something out, follow us on YouTube. We also put out a lot of content, our coaches. So we have a lot of exercises that the kids can do, even if they're not with us right now. And so just reach out to us and we will keep informed on what we're doing moving forward.
Yeah. Exciting times for you. What has been the most challenging over the last few months?
The most challenging. That's a good question. I think it was hard for everybody. Everybody was kind of zoomed out, right? You just wanted to, it was hard to keep everybody's attention, but I will say that, we're just happy to be back. It was just hard. I think everybody was just kind of tired of this whole pandemic, and, we can't get tired because that is what it is, and we got to be careful of what's coming next. But the biggest challenge would be just fatigue, but the greatest joy has been that the staff has kept the kids happy, and the kids always give us a lot of joy because, doing gymnastics is fun. And when we're all in that environment, it just brings us all joy.
Yeah. And shout out to your staff. I mean, obviously, being able to pivot in this virtual environment is huge, but from what you tell me, your staff was able to turn a corner.
They really did. I mean, they were great because you had to support the kids, right? Even when we were on Zoom, they were in school. That's one thing all day. But when they had their gymnastics teacher talk to them, even though once a week they put on their leotard or their purple shirt, and they get this type of attention, and there was movement that was directed. And then sometimes we had to talk to the kids. We're like, how are you feeling? Do some jokes, have a movie night. It was just connecting with them. That wasn't their teachers, it wasn't their parents, it was their gymnastics teacher. And so I really give it to them for taking on the responsibility of keeping our kids in the community inspired.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're about out of time, but before we go, you get the final word to let people know what they want to know, what you want them to know.
Well, I would like them to visit us at wendyhilliard.org, send that support. Any donation helps because we serve all kinds of kids in small and large donations, and this investment will go a long way. And also enjoy the Olympics because it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, but 'tis the season. Glad to have you with us during Olympic season, and as we're preparing to see what comes of it. And who knows, another win and maybe another 150 coming at the door.
You never know.
You never know. Wendy Hilliard, thank you so much for being with us here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.